Hey guys, James with Torches and Tactical, and don't worry, you're not seeing double or rather triple. I have three different versions of the exact same light, and we're going to do a full comparison with the Wurkkos FC13. Now, we have the Wurkkos FC13 with the SFN43 emitter. Now, this is their first batch with RGB in the switch and Android 2, so it gives you plenty of blinking modes and plenty of user configurability. But they also came out, if you see this little domed emitter here, they also came out with an XHP50 version. So we'll compare that one, and we'll also compare the SFT40 version. Now we all know the SFT40 really likes to throw, so we're going to see how the beams compare on the SFT40, the SFN43, as well as the XHP50. But let's get two of these out of the way, because for the main part of the review, we're going to focus on the body on the SFN43 version. Now, this is the FC13 from our friends over at Wurkkos, and I actually purchased this light. They did not send it for review, so you know that everything I say is going to be completely unbiased, and if it's good, I'll tell you it's good. If it's bad, I'll tell you it's bad. So the FC13 in this guise with the SFN43 does give you 3,400 lumens and 239 meters of throw. Now, the 239 meters is nothing to be surprised at, considering the fact that it has an incredibly short orange peel reflector. Now, we all know that the orange peel reflectors don't lend themselves very well to throw, but they rather give a softer beam for that flood. So we all know how much I like flood, or if you don't, maybe you're new to the channel, but I really prefer flood lights, and with the inclusion of the RGB and Android 2, this is a fantastic option to have. So 3,400 lumens, 239 meters of throw, and since it is Android, you have 8 different brightness settings. You go all the way from your first or your moonlight mode, which is 1 lumen, then you have 15 lumens, 60 lumens, 150 lumens, 430 lumens, 930 lumens, 1700 lumens, and finally Turbo will give you that 3,400 lumens. So in Turbo mode, you do get 2.5 hours of runtime with a candela rating of 14,250, and you can get 960 hours. And for those of you who don't want to do the math, that is 40 days of runtime. That's 40 days on moonlight mode. Now, granted, it is only 1 lumen, but still 40 days of usable light. And if you want a little more usable light, you can just bump up 1 mode to the 15 lumen output, and you still get 5 full days of runtime. So real fast, let's take a look at the packaging on this. Now this is the box that it comes in. And again, this is for the SFN43. So it shows that 3,400 lumens and 239 meters of throw, and a bunch of the settings, specifications, everything like that on the back side. So if we slip this cover off, we can open it up. It does have a few magnetic pieces here that will keep it closed and contained. The very first thing you get is a little card telling you that there is an insulating film underneath this tail cap. So if your light's not working when you first get it, just make sure to remove that. Additionally, you do have your entire manual, which again has your stepped modes, as well as Android Simple UI. And if you keep going through, it will give you the full chart. Now we do have the full Android 2 chart on our Torches and Tactical website, so you can go ahead and check that out there. If you need a copy for yourself, it is high quality, so you can always have that on hand. But this will run through how to change all the modes, how to adjust specifications, how to do all the configurability that Android 2 is known for. So if we get that out of the way, let's get back inside this box. It does have also an accessories pouch here. And inside that accessories pouch, there is a little plastic bag that gives you a generic lanyard as well as a couple of O-rings. And finally, there is a USB-C to USB-A cable. And this is going to plug into the back of your FC13 with this very robust, very heavy-duty charging port cover. So with this out of the way, let's go ahead and focus on the light again, shall we? All right, so looking at the FC13, now you can see a lot of design elements here. You have countless cooling fins in the head of the light, and it does switch over to up closer to the bezel. You will see a full circumference, a full cooling fin that goes all the way around, not hindered by that RGB switch. And if we look up at the front, or the business end, so to speak, you will see this orange bezel. I mean, it's a very nice accent color. I kind of would have preferred to see a little more orange, but you can always set the RGB in Anduril software. You can set that to orange so it matches, or if they included other colors as well. But you will see this bezel. The bezel does come out pretty easily, so if you do want to make any changes or anything you may want to do, the bezel does come out relatively easily. But you have that glass lens, and behind there is that orange peel reflector. Now, one thing I will show you right now is if you look at this orange peel reflector, there is orange peel on it, but it's not that aggressive. However, if you look at, say, the SFT40 version, the orange peel is much more aggressive. Now let's go ahead and wiggle both of them around so you can see. So the orange peel is much more aggressive on the other versions than they are on the SFN43 version. But we'll keep moving down. Now this E-switch is very, very well done. It's huge compared to the switches of yesteryear. Now let me bring out this FC12 that I have. This is a simple E-switch, and when it does have a battery in it, I mean, the feel is fantastic on this, but the E-switch is so small that it does make it a little, it does get lost a little bit. But we will continue moving on with the FC13. This has the same tactile feedback and response, and being an E-switch, you're not going to have to sit here and wonder if it's going to switch like a reverse clicky or a forward clicky, but every single press does what it's supposed to. So finally we move down, and this is a squared off battery tube. Now I will bring this up here just a little bit for you. But that squared off battery tube has some machining in here that's going to kind of act as a cooling fin, even though you're not really going to need it on the battery tube. And sorry, I'm getting that grease all over here. So there's not an issue with the finish on this light. What I'm getting all over is the grease from these threads. Now the square cut anodized threads, they are very, very well done. The anodized coating is very, very thick, so it screws on and attaches very easily, and it's super smooth. But you do have a two-way pocket clip here as well. So if you want to flip this onto your baseball cap, you're more than welcome to do that. And it comes up pretty close with this mildly deep throat, but that throat is going to let it sit pretty deep inside your pocket. And finally, there is that tail cap. So that tail cap, as well as the head, you see the post in the head, but the tail cap does have a spring, and it's not the stiffest spring in the world, but it does serve its purpose, and I wasn't hearing any battery rattle at all. So let's get this guy back together, shall we? And in putting it back together, inside will be going the Wurkkos 18650. Now it is Wurkkos branded, shows that it is rated at 3000 milliamp hours, but like I said, that spring in the tail cap is not the thickest in the world, but does give you plenty of resistance to make sure that it's not going to shake, rattle, and roll inside there. And with it back together, we can go ahead and flip over to that user interface. So with the user interface, you do get one button to turn it on, one button to turn it back off. If you do a double tap, it will go straight to your turbo mode. Now this is all 3400 lumens from the SFN43 LED. And if you need to, you can check the battery with a few simple presses of the button. 3 presses while it's off. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 3.8 volts. That's what your battery's sitting at right now. Now, Anduril will automatically shut off or kick into low voltage protection and disable the light from working at 2.8 volts, so you don't have to worry about running those batteries dry. And continuing that user interface, you can do a double tap and hold, and that will do a temporary turbo. And if you do a triple tap and hold, this will go into your strobe or blinky mode, and a double tap from here will cycle through. So right now we have lightning, and this is called candle mode. It will try to simulate a candle, but there are countless other options, and I will get more into all of the Android features in a later video series. But while the light is on, you can press and hold, and it will cycle through all of your different modes and outputs, and you can release and do that again, and it'll go up and then down. So now that we've seen the user interface just briefly, we'll get the XHP50 and the SFT40 version out here, and we'll take these outside. So I'll let you guys know exactly what mode we're using on each of these and exactly which emitter is going to be in use at any given time. I'll go ahead and throw some titles down here so you can see exactly what I'm going to be doing. And at the end of this, I'm going to want to know what you guys think about the difference between the SFN43, the XHP50, and the SFT40 version of the FC13. So let's get out there. All right, guys, in these nighttime shots, we are going to be going over 3 different versions of the FC13, the SFT40, the XHP50, and the SFN34. So first we're going to go over the SFT40. Now I did leave this in the simple mode of Anduril, so we only have 5 modes to deal with right now. I'm just going to start at the lowest and then go up from there. Here is the first mode. Here's 2, 3, 4, and then if you double press it will go to turbo. Now we will go over the XHP50 version. Again, going to start low and just go up through those 5 modes. Here is the first level, 2, 3, 4, and if you double tap it, it'll go to turbo. Quite a bit more flood on this one and a much softer hotspot and a lower tint as well. And finally, the SFN43. Again, I'm going to start low and go up through all 5 modes. Here's the lowest level, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now that we saw all 3 of them, I will go straight to turbo on all 3 one more time. Here's the SFT40, a very, very cool light, but it does have that more defined hotspot. Straight to turbo with the XHP50. Nowhere near as defined a hotspot, much more neutral tint, and definitely more flood. And the SFN43. Now, in my opinion, this kind of meets the best of both worlds. It's a little bit lower on the color spectrum, but it gives a little bit of flood and still throws quite nicely. So after reviewing all 3 of those again, let's get back inside and touch up on a final few notes. All right, guys, we went outside and saw the FC13 in the SFN43, the FC13 in the SFT40, as well as the FC13 in the XHP50 version. So I want you guys to tell me what you thought about those beam patterns. Yeah, go ahead and do it right now. Down in the comments, go ahead and click. Come on. Okay, well, now that some of you have started typing, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I thought about that. So for me, it all comes down to whether you or not you want a defined hotspot or a little bit of flood. So the FC13 in the SFN43 and the SFT40 were pretty similar. Frankly, I thought that it looked a little more evident on the hotspot with the SFN43 than it did the SFT40, which is kind of surprising, but I think it all comes down to that more aggressive orange peel. So between that and between the SFT40 and the SFN43 for throw, I would have to say that the SFN43 had a little bit of an edge. So if you're looking at flood though, I mean, there's no choice, like having that really large dome to be able to help throw out that light, especially with orange peel. So if you want your FC13 with a lot softer of a hotspot and you want to get it into more flood, then the XHP50 version is definitely for you. The XHP50 version is also the warmest of the tints. This is rated at 5000K, the SFN43 at 5700K, and the SFT40 at between 6000 and 6500K. So definitely the whitest of the group with the SFT40. Then it gets a little cooler with the SFN43, and the most neutral tint is the XHP 50.3. So I want to thank you guys so much for sitting through this with me, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And when you do, click that little notification bell right here, just so we can keep putting out this content and doing some of the giveaways that we do. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video and all the other ones. Go ahead and check out another one. We have new ones coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.